Salam sastra.
Hello everyone, welcome to our talk show today. I'm Marsha and today we will discussing contemporary literary studies, then narrowing it down to the science fiction genre, then the concept of the hero, literary theory, and finally we will examine one of the complex superhero films, Doctor Strange. I'm joined by Leah and Zufar. Hello guys.
Hello Marsha. Hello everyone.
It's a pleasure to join you.
Okay, let's start with the basics. Many people hear the term contemporary literature, but are often confused about what it means. Leah, if you could explain it to a layperson, what is contemporary literature?
In a simple term, contemporary literature is the study of the contemporary narrative that are relevant to our life. So it's not just about a novel or poetry, but also films, comic, and other popular stories. We examine not only the plot, but also the message, values, and how the work reflects the way of thinking of modern society.
Well, if you hear the explanations, contemporary literature is not actually as distant as we imagined. In fact, it's very close to our daily lives. But perhaps some still wonder why is literary studies now more interested in things that seems modern, even popular.
So it is because the reality of society are changing, the way of people communicate, think, uh, and even their life anxieties are different from previous generations. So in literary studies are also moving, adapting of the context of the time.
That's why it is where contemporary literary studies becomes important today. The studies doesn't just read stories as a text, but as a cultural products. So we ask, in what era did this story emerge, address whose anxieties, and reflect what social conditions?
Okay, interesting. So contemporary literature is not just about narrative forms, but also about the context of the time, right?
Yes, is in fact you could say that contemporary literature is very aware of the time. It captures the anxieties, hope, and fears of modern humans. That's why a certain genders exist.
Does that mean even popular works can be the objects of literary studies?
Yes, absolutely. As long as the work represents social issues, culture, or modern humans perspective, it's legitimate for study within contemporary literature.
Okay, from there we begin to see that contemporary literature opens up a wide space, including for genres that might have previously been considered not serious literature.
And one gender that's not this study is often touches on technologies and the changing time.
Okay, now this is where we start to enter one of the most frequently discussed genres, science fiction. Zufar, why does science fiction appear so often in contemporary literature studies?
In my opinion, because sci-fi is the genre that most clearly depicts humanity's relationship with science and the changing times. Sci-fi usually talks about alternative worlds, advanced technology, or different realities. But it's actually a way to discuss human fears and hopes today.
And then, so science fiction is not just about the future.
I think yes. Many studies call sci-fi a speculative genre. This means it imagines some things that might happen to critic current conditions. That's why sci-fi is so relevant in contemporary literature.
And if we look at the superhero fiction, science fiction is often combined with heroic stories. A superhero usually appear in a world filled with technology, scientific experiment, or alternative realities. So in this world, we could say that science fiction is more complex than previous generations because we have much film, for example, Wonder Woman, Superman, or something like that.
Well, that's interesting. We often see superheroes in science fiction films. And Leah, how is the concept of the hero understood in contemporary literature studies?
So, in contemporary literature, heroes are no longer depicted as a perfect figure. Uh, Modern heroes are full of conflict, have a weakness, and often make a wrong decision. For example, let's make a look at the film of Superman. Maybe Superman, he got maybe Zufar. You know Superman?
Yes, of course lah. It's a
It's a great movie, right?
yes, it's a great movie we watched when we was kid like that.
So in the movie like that, this is reflect human modern living in a complex world.
So heroes are more than human now.
Yes, let's say that yes, in superhero fiction, heroes often function as a symbol. They can be sort of a hope, but also a critic of a power that excessive use of force.
Yes, referring to superhero fictions, superheroes are a popular literary form that combines sci-fi, fantasy, and modern mythology, like Superman that's from America, and then Batman. Yes, in the golden era, it's find a new mythology of America, and then they emerge from society's need to imagine savior figures amidst a world full of uncertainty.
So, superheroes are not just entertained, but also reflections of society, anxieties, and hopes.
Ah, yes, that's correct. Because and that's what make superheroes stories relevant to discuss with, today.
And now I'm curious if Doctor Strange is analyzed using literary theory, which theory is fits the best.
So, in my opinion, yes.
Yeah.
And this film is very complex, and we could use a postmodern theory proposed by a thinker named Lyotard.
Yes, I agree with Dea because instead of feminism theory that we can learn about, maybe it's relevant when we use Lyotard theory because Lyotard is a pretty well-known figure. He wrote a book called The Postmodern Condition in 1979, and his ideas are often used to analyze contemporary works, and now including the films in that era.
And so, what is postmodernism actually about? A lot of people hear that term, but they're confused about what it really means.
In the simply way, Lyotard says that the people today no longer fully believe in one single grand root.
Right, right. He uses a rather heavy term. It's incredulity towards meta-narrative. But in simple languages, we can say it means people have started to doubt the big stories that were once accepted without questions.
And what do you mean about big stories?
Yeah, let's make it easy with an example. The belief that science can explain everything, or that life can be completely controlled through logic and technology.
Uh, Also, Lyotard says that in the modern world, belief like they are starting to falling apart. There's there's many things that simply can't be explained in just one way.
So, postmodernism is about adapt.
Let's say it's yes, it's because, but not top in a negative sense. It's more about awareness that the world is so complex, something like that.
And we talk about the autarkia. In the postmodernism world, there is no single role that appeals to everyone because we have many roles that control us, but not for everyone like that. The truth becomes dependent on perspective also and experience and the context of the truth.
So that's why postmodernism is very close to our life today. We live in a world of full of different versions, opinions, and perspectives.
Okay, then let's move on to the films we were focusing on today. Doctor Strange. Which part of the film shows this idea the most?
I like those parts.
I'm waited for this part because Doctor Strange. Everyone know that.
Yes.
Yes. That's it's interesting because the Doctor Strange is not a main character, isn't a hero from the start, but Stephen Strange is a genius doctor at first, who is very confident but even arrogant. Stephen Strange is a doctor who strongly believes in science. For him, if something can be medically proven, then it doesn't make sense. Yes, because he's doctor.
Doctor Strange is very handsome, right?
Yes, I think so.
But before we go deeper, let's briefly look at the story at first. After a car accident severely damages his hands and ends his career as a surgeon, Strange becomes desperate. In his search for healing, he travels to Kamartaj, where he discovers the world of magic and the multiverse. Yes, Strange learns magic and multiverse. Through this journey, he is forced to confront realities that cannot be explained by science and eventually takes on a new role as a protector of reality. And that fits perfectly, I think, with Lyotard critic, right? Yes. The film shows how that single absolute belief eventually collapses.
So, in the films, there are scenes when he gets into an accident.
Yes.
What actually changed after that accident?
So the big change is how Strange sees the world. Before that, he sees the world like um, everything going through in their life is because a scientist is not able to see a real reality because he doesn't. What can I say that? It's like more complex. Before the accident, he believed that every problem could be solved through science, something like that.
So, it's not just about his hand, right? And if we remember the film, that Trent's hands are damaged because of the car accident. At the time, he was driving well distracted and ended up in a serious crash. His hands were badly injured, the nerves were damaged, and that made him unable to perform surgery anymore. So from that point, what does the loss of his hands actually means for Doctor Strange as a character?
So for Doctor Strange, his hand is not just about the body parts, but also they are his uh, they are his source of his life. You know, a surgeon who can use his hand
Yeah.
is terrible, right? His identity as a doctor and the reason why he is respected is because his hand.
Yes, because of the accident, and he go to Kamartaj, he learns about magic and make a portal with his hand. Yes, to discover the multiverse and also when we view through postmodern lens, this becomes a symbol of the collapse of a grand belief of Doctor Strange. Strange is forced to accept the reality that life cannot always be controlled, no matter how intelligent he is. But
And that's why it is very close to our life today. When many people realize that life is that life plan can fall apart anytime.
Then, when magic starts to appear, how should that be interpreted?
I think magic in these films is not meant to say that science is wrong, but to show that science is not the only way to understand the world. We can go to the metaverse or anything like that.
So at first, Doctor Strange reject magic because everything he knows to make a logical sense. He was a doctor, right? He used his hand to everything to something like that lah. But
Experience, I think.
yes, I think he's. But the experience he go through make him realize that not everything can be explained in that way.
So, what does magic symbolize?
So it symbolizes openness. In postmodernism, humans learn to accept that the world is complex and doesn't have a single divine answer.
That's why Strange doesn't abandon science, but expand his way of thinking. He learns to see reality from a broader perspective, like that. Okay.
What about the multiverse? Why it is so important?
The multiverse, right? Because
Yes.
the multiverse shows that reality just not one. The way people see is very different. There are many words and many possibilities, and anything can happen anytime.
And also, this fits perfectly with postmodernism because the world is no longer seen as a single, like that, not as a single absolute truth, but also something full of version because we can see another perspective from the another world. Like,
And is this relevant to life today?
Yeah, I think so. It's very much so. We live in a world with many perspectives. Not everyone shares the same viewpoint, and that's normal, I think.
that's a very normal with a different perspective to see the world, but and the film seems to say that we have to be ready to live in a world full of differences and uncertainty.
And how about the Strange as a hero himself?
He's not a hero who is instantly wise. He's also like a common human, like he's selfish, stubborn, and often makes the wrong decision on his life.
And that's exactly what makes him feel human. He's not a hero who always know the answer. He learned about, for the example in the film, right? Doctor Strange learned how to use the magic, like this hand, something.
Yes. Yes.
You know that scene, right? It's very great. I love that. And and not hero always know the answer. It is Doctor Strange.
And that's important in the postmodern sense.
Yes, in postmodernism, a hero is not a perfect figure. He grows to a mistake and death, like Doctor Strange.
Uh, and Doctor Strange becomes a hero not because he is the strongest, like, but because he is willing to learn and change uh, by discovering the multiverse after he is creating the portal like that.
I like that one so
Yes, and make a different perspective from another world that Doctor Strange discovered.
And if we examine it more deeply, what message can be learned from this film?
I think there's so many messages that we can learn, but I can go with this film can be read as a critic of arrogance of modern humanity, especially in the world of science. Stephen Strange feels he can control everything through medical knowledge, but at the end, when he loses it, he's forced to search for the meaning of life beyond pure scientific logic.
So, on the other hand, this film also emphasizes hero moral responsibility. Doctor Strange must choose between personal interest and the safety of the world. This is very typical of a superhero fictions in contemporary literature.
Okay, from the beginning, we have discussed what contemporary literature is, how science fiction works within it, literary theory, and how the concept of the hero is formed. And finally, we have seen its application in the films Doctor Strange, sorry. And perhaps from this discussion, we can see that the films we often watch uh, casually actually hold many layers of meaning depending on our perspective.
So yes, and that shows that contemporary literature is not far from everyday life. Even through the film, we can still learn about issues and human value. For the example, in this film, Doctor Strange go see the land through the science, everything science, but after he lose it, he forced to learn, and he did it. That's all.
Yes, but in fact, also through popular media like superheroes or literary studies, can become more relevant and accessible easily to people that who has not maybe literature enthusiast maybe or film enthusiast and the literary studies that we talk about is maybe can be relevant and accessible to many people around the world.
Okay, I want to say thank you very much, Surya and Zafar, for today's very interesting discussion.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
And thank you also to everyone who listens. Hopefully, after this, when watching superhero films, we won't just see the actions and visuals, but also the message behind the stories. See you on the next talk show. Salam Sastra.